Hello, and welcome back to the Bicycle Association podcast, where we aim to share more of the work that we do in an easy to digest way. My name is Alex Seaman, I'm the host of the BA podcast, and I'd like you to think of this as BA Bite Size, where we help you cut through the noise and find out what is really important for your business and point you to where you can find out more information on our website. In each episode, we'll explore a different aspect of the BA's ongoing work to support you, our members.
You're listening to the BA podcast.
In this episode, we're talking about the BA's market data service, how and why it came about, and what it offers our members. As we dive into the data, we'll hear from Simon Irons and Tom Payton from the BA, and then we'll be joined by Jack Dennison from Sigma Sports to explain how they actually use market data service. And finally, we speak to Nick Nettleton, CEO of Loft, to find out how market data service might evolve. Simon, welcome to the BA podcast.
Hi, Alec.
Simon, looking at market data service, where did all this start?
Well, my journey with market data started in the early 2000s when I worked as a buyer for Asda. And at that time, working with both our own data and market data as a context, is really part of your training as a buyer. You are only ever as good as your performance versus the market. You've got to be able to context your own performance with how your peers are doing. So my last job before I joined the BA was at Halfords, which was my intro to the cycling world in terms of trading anyway. And we subscribed to a service at the time which was expensive and it wasn't great quality. And it was just something which I really wanted to be able to do something about. And when I joined the BA, it was really the project for me that just needed doing.
And so MDS went live in April 2020. How long were you working on it before that go live date?
Well, I naively thought we could get it all up and running within 6 months. So the actual start to the process was really early 2018. I envisaged running a tender process and having somebody get it all up and running, I'd say, within 6 months. And the reality was it took a lot longer than that. And that's not necessarily about getting the technology set up, although that did take some time. It was really about consulting with the industry, making sure that we'd taken on board what they wanted, what they didn't want, and constructing something that really worked for everybody. We selected SMS, sports marketing surveys, on the back of their experience at running audits in other sectors and in other countries. And that almost was the easy part. What took the time was getting everybody on board within the industry. And 2 years later, we finally launched, coincidentally, right at the beginning of lockdown, which there was a wobbly moment where we were wondering whether anyone was going to be open to supply data for the first couple of iterations. But obviously very quickly we realised that it was more going to be the other way around. Everyone was going to be so busy. And fortunately, everyone who'd signed up to it did manage to contribute data. And we were able to take a really good read of the market in what became, an absolutely phenomenal year for the industry in 2020.
Why was the BA uniquely positioned to be able to create market data service? Was it uniquely positioned to create market data service?
All of the market data services I've ever come into contact with were run by commercial entities who were there to make a margin out of it. And that's been tried within the cycling industry and hadn't worked. And I think the unique position that the BA has is that, our members are the people that will be contributing to this service. We are doing it on a not-for-profit basis, and we're doing it so that we can help them be more successful and so that we can grow the market. And I think all of those factors in combination were what really enabled us uniquely to break through what had been a long-standing challenge to set something up that's of a decent level of quality within the cycling industry.
If it's not too grand a thing to say, the vision for market data service was yours, and you've got it up and running. But now, there are other people in the team. So who is running the day-to-day operations of market data service?
Yes, thankfully there are some other people now involved. So Tom joined us last year and is doing all of the day-to-day running and the operation of the market data service. So Tom Payton joined us from Boardman Bikes, where he was doing a number of different roles. But I worked with Tom when I was at Halfords, and I knew that he'd be a brilliant addition to our team to help us sort of manage the ongoing relationship, both with SMS and with our subscribers. And David Middlemas has also been working on market data, largely focused on recruitment, but also on the broader strategy. David's relationships within the industry, having worked particularly in the independent sector, have really helped us unlock a whole new level of interest in market data. But I pick out David and Tom. Really, it's really been a team effort.
Tom, welcome to the BA podcast.
Thanks for having me, Alec. Good to be on.
We've already heard from Simon about the genesis of the market data service, but as far as the actual running of market data is concerned, that now sits with you.
Yeah, so I look after the day-to-day operation of the service, really, working very closely with sports marketing surveys. Yeah, essentially, since the service was founded, it's a really comprehensive data set. Has grown significantly in terms of the businesses that we've onboarded and the data providers that are now contributing to it. And so as a result, it required a dedicated resource, really, to keep the thing working and functioning correctly.
Tom, where are you getting all this data from?
So we have, in total now, a sample size which is circa 350 specialist stores, which includes independent retailers and online direct-to-consumer businesses, and then circa 1,200 generalist stores contributing their data. So that makes up around, I think, 864,000 SKUs was our last count. And then we aggregate that data and then report on it by month to the market that are subscribed to it.
So with all these companies now contributing data, how much of the market does that represent?
Yeah, so we estimate current market coverage by turnover to be circa 70%.
So it's a pretty big sweep.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it gives a really good comprehensive insight into where the growth in the industry is, which categories are growing, which ones perhaps are in decline, and covers certainly enough of the market to give some really valuable insight to everybody that's signed up for it.
So if you're already a BA member and you're wondering about contributing your data, but you're maybe concerned about sharing it, Tom, what would you say to reassure that member?
Well, the market data service is managed under contract by sports marketing surveys, and SMS, as we refer to them, is a specialist research agency. They run similar programs in the US for the tennis and running and surface markets, I believe. And for us, it was really important that the market data service was managed by an independent and established service provider, and SMS do a really good job of that. And what that means is that no other business or store, and importantly the BA, cannot see that raw data. So it's completely confidential. And what SMS do is they clean that data, they aggregate it, and then we provide that as averages and totals for the rest of the market to see. And I think in terms of why market data is important, why we need it, it's a really, really valuable tool for the industry to enable it to grow, and that's what this is all about, really. Reliable market data can really help everybody raise their game, grow the market even more, and the data within it helps businesses understand the consumer buying patterns better, and through the benchmarking you can do with the tool, you can go right down to granular level detail, which previously you just have no insight into, really. I think the other point that's really important to mention, and why we want more contributors to this, is it's a really, really useful tool from an advocacy perspective, which is a really key pillar for the BA. And the real high quality data that we now have through the service can really help us as the BA demonstrate the value of the cycling industry to the UK economy, and really ensure that it's embedded in government transport policies and at kind of the forefront of mind. But we're not just sort of going to government, if you like, with we think this is the value, the economic value of the UK market. Now with the MDS service, we can actually go with real insight, real data, and provide a real evidence-based approach to where we think investment is required, and that's something that the BA is actively working on at the moment with the local economic case project, which is a real key programme of work for the BA.
You're a member that's decided to contribute. You've provided your data. What do you get back from Market Data Service? What's the product on a day-by-day or week-by-week basis?
Yeah, so there are a few ways in which you can gain access, and that really depends on which area of the industry you operate in. For IBDs, independent bicycle dealerships, there's free logins available to the service in return for completely anonymised data submission, and a login will give you a customised view of the My Business versus the sector report, and then within that you can split that down between the different categories, the retailer segments and the channel of sale. So within that you can look at your sales versus online click and collect, online, and then your in-store sales as well. So yeah, you can also look at price band reporting to understand if you've sold a road bike, for example, you can split out all of the road bike sales that you made that were sub £500, all those that were over £500, all those that are perhaps sub £2,000, and so on. If you want to subscribe to the service, and we've got bronze, silver and gold subscription services available, and the silver and gold are paid for services. And with those, you gain more insight, so you gain everything that the IBD view gives you, but you also are able to look at average price points. You can also look at brand performance if you are happy to provide your branded data. We're also able to break the data down into regions as well, so you can look at which areas of the UK are working best for you and how you compare versus your peers, and we are also able to look at SKU counts as well and best sellers within the product categories, so you get further insight, and also if you a part of that paid for service, you also gain access to the biannual reports that we now publish, which give real detailed insight into the whole of the UK market.
Tom, do you mean that you can see how the sales of X brand are doing in your store versus how it's doing nationally?
Absolutely, yeah. And again, this is all based on the principle that if you're willing to share this branded data, then we will allow you to see it. And so everybody that can see it is also sharing, which is an important point. But it allows you to do absolutely that. You can see which are the top performing clothing brands, which are the top performing bike brands, and again compare that within to your business, the sector that you operate in, and the total market.
Tom, to be clear, this data isn't just of interest to the biggest manufacturers and distributors, is it? It has applications from IBDs all the way across to multinational brands.
Absolutely, yeah. The level of insight which can be gained is exactly the same for somebody that's a smaller player within the industry. So perhaps if you're a chain that's got four plus stores, the view that you've got is still similar to those that have got just one store.
So I suppose the final question before we introduce our next guest, who within business is using this data? Does it require a specialist, or does it go straight to management teams, or can it be interpreted throughout the organisation? Indeed, within smaller independent businesses.
Well, we've got all sorts of different individuals and teams using the service now. I think the obvious ones, so buying, forecasting, sales and marketing teams can all make better informed decisions with the data to hand. We know that that a lot of our users sit within the buying teams, for example. But then if you look at perhaps at smaller sectors of the industry, if you're working in an independent store, the level of insight that you can gain from this is really significant. And for sure, we've got shop managers making use of the data on a monthly basis, and really gaining some valuable insight from it.
So we've now spoken about how BA creates and shares market data services. Now we've got the opportunity to speak with a member that uses MDS in their day-to-day business. And so we're joined by Jack Dennison of Sigma Sports. Now, Jack is head of data, and as such, he uses market data on a regular basis. Jack, welcome to the BA podcast.
Thanks very much for having me on.
Jack, why did Sigma Sports sign up for a market data service, and what did you gain from using it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I go as far as saying that market data actually has become essential to our understanding of the business's performance, especially over the last 18 months or so. So when I write the trading performance notes in our monthly board pack, market data is always the thing that comes first. It really helps set the scene for our own performance. If we don't understand the market, then I don't think we can truly say whether we're performing well or otherwise. And I really think the coronavirus pandemic really highlighted that. So as many members would have seen, there were some great numbers going on through the early months of that period. Obviously far in excess of any kind of target that anyone would have put together, I would imagine. So within that, we had to understand, is the market seeing the same thing? Absolutely. And are we performing better than the market was the main question. And now, equally, on the other side, as we come down from that massive high, it's really helping us understand what our performance looks like as things not return to normal, but drop down from that huge peak of last year. So looking at our total market share and looking at the trends within the market are really important.
Before you had market data service, how were you doing that benchmarking?
Not particularly well. I mean, at my previous employer, again within the cycling industry, we did get some market data. I didn't think it was as robust as what's on offer from the BA. It really is, second to none in that regard. And broadly, it was kind of hearsay and rumour, where you'd be speaking to someone you knew at another business to try and get a measure of how things were looking. Mm-hmm. Whereas now we've got very solid numbers behind the stories we're building and what we're looking at.
As head of data, do you use market data service on a daily basis?
I wouldn't go as far to say that it's daily currently. Certainly weekly, definitely monthly. And there's so much in there. I wish I had more time in the day to dig deeper sometimes. There's definitely ideas of where we'd like to go next and going further than some of the higher level stuff that we look at. Should we be digging down more into brand and category performance to look at how our market share and how the market's performing in those areas? Anecdotally, we talk about electric bikes quite a lot, and it's great to dip into the BA tool and see what's going on in the broader market.
So what are the key features that you're currently using, and do you pull that data down to use it elsewhere in its raw form?
Yeah, we definitely do some of that. So, I mean, the key one I mentioned is market share. So we take the sales total for the total market. We do also estimate it up. So I know that it's said to cover 70% of the market. So we do sort of have a top level estimate of what the total market will look like. Mm-hmm. And from that, we then try and calculate what our market share is and how that's changed over the previous months and previous years. Pleased to see it trending in the right direction. And we also look at, and then I'd say that the next most commonly used feature around it would be dipping in and out when we discuss a certain topic. So, whether it's a certain category or brand performance, we'll dig in just to see what it looks like from a market perspective and see if that chimes with what we've seen for our own sales performance, to understand, is it a market-wide force? or is it an internal problem and something that we need to be doing better on ourselves?
For you as head of data and for Sigma Sports, what are the key benefits to market data service?
Yeah, I'd say one of the key benefits is the bigger we become as a business, particularly a direct business or through the website, the more prone to sort of market-wide forces, or the more we're at the mercy of some market-wide forces we become. It's no longer about us just trying to sell more stuff or trying to gain market share. There are big things, coronavirus being the most obvious one, that can have a very big effect on your performance, and really being able to measure that it's not just us, it's everyone that is either flying in this regard or is suffering in some cases, is really, really crucial to us understanding, is it us, is it the market, and pulling out those wider market trends.
Jack, where would you like to see market data service develop in the future?
Yeah, I'd say that the main one would be, without getting too technical, some kind of API call that would allow us to pull the data directly out of the service and then manipulate within our own reporting tools. At the moment, the quality of the data is without question, and there is plenty of in there to look at. It just becomes a bit of a challenge taking it out of the tool, putting it into something to then present or to share with other people. Whereas, the ultimate would be to just have that straight into our reporting system, know what the market-wide numbers were per month, and then create some of our own reporting and benchmarking off that.
Jack, you're a data specialist. Is this data accessible to and usable for non-specialists?
I would say that it's pretty applicable to anyone. So members of our purchasing team, they do dip in and out to look at their categories and they look at their brands. One of the easiest things to digest, I would say, would be the brand share across the industry. So we've looked before at bikes and we've looked at which are the best-selling brands within it, and we've thought, okay, what are the holes in our offering? Who of this list of suppliers and brands would we like to work with? In some cases we were surprised that within e-bikes the market share was larger for some specialists or for some brands that we'd not considered or not worked with before, and it really opened up conversations to say, we can see how well you're performing across the market, and we think your product resonates with what we offer. We'd love to stock what you have.
Jack, thank you for joining us on this episode of the BA podcast. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your experience of market data service.
Thanks so much for having me on, guys. It was great to be part of it.
So we've now heard about how market data service has been pulled together, how it's being used by a BA member, and now the next question really has to be, where is market data service going and what might it evolve into in the future? And to help us understand that, we've got Nick Nettleton, the CEO of Loft, to explain what the future might look like. Nick, could you just give us an overview of your involvement?
I'm a techie and I've been building digital products for years, and I love the design side and I love the under the bonnet stuff as well. But so far I've been really coming at this from the sort of under the bonnet with one eye to what the users need. And there's a reason for that, and it's a slightly unusual way around to take it. But I think that the market data service is a brilliant creation. It's nothing short of a miracle that something like that's been brought together over a few years, and I think everyone who's been involved is and should be really proud of the achievement. And meanwhile, in order to do that, there's been a kind of a certain amount of, right, let's just get it up and running. That's what we do in tech. We just get things, we make it work, and we have the kind of, the chutzpah just to get it off the ground. And now that it's been proved that the model's there and people want the data, the question is, right, how do we make this scalable, sustainable, long-term, something that can grow and get bigger? When you get something off the ground, you do it in the kind of the most efficient way possible, and that isn't about thinking about scalability. That's about thinking about what do we need today to make it work. So that's sort of almost been my starting point. Is from my brief from the BA, Nick, please have a look at this. How do we make this something that's going to be scalable for the long term? And how do we look at the outputs, how people are consuming it, and enable people to consume it in ways that are better for them?
Nick, who decides how MDS is going to change, and how are those changes being determined?
That's happening in a really collaborative way. So I'm working with the BA just to look at the technology and the infrastructure and see what the priorities are, what the challenges and issues are, which things we want to change either pretty quickly or for the long term. And I'm working really closely with SMS to understand what that means at their end, and very closely with the BA executive to understand what their priorities are. And then we're using that as to sort of underpin a collaborative process.
What are the future changes going to look like? Is it confined to what data you can look at, or is it going to open up new ways of accessing data?
Yeah, both of those things. So I think, first of all, the ways that you can access data are really important. I think data sort of flows freely through an industry, doesn't it? Or we want it to, and flows freely through a system like the market data service. And we want people to be able to flow that into their business or their kind of working process in whichever way suits them best. So whether that's kind of plugging it in, if you've got data scientists, then they'll want to plug that into their tools. Or if you're not a data, lots of people don't like numbers very much. It's not a very easy way for them to digest and understand what's going on. So we want to try and find ways to make it meaningful and useful and valuable to them. So there's that side. And then there's, what's you going to be able to see? I think we're really interested in what other data we can start to flow in alongside the existing retail sales data. And that gets really exciting, doesn't it, when you start to mix and match and put different data sets together. And I'm really curious as well about what sort of other people will do. I think once you look at opportunities to open up data and let kind of creative spirits mash it together with other things or create exciting products with it, then you don't know what's going to happen. That's quite an exciting world.
At the moment, market data service is exactly what it says on the tin. It's based upon sales, but you've touched upon being able to mash it together with other kinds of data. What sort of data could we mash it with, and why would we want to do that?
There's probably one for me, really, Alec. Having these varied data sources allows us to just really gain a full understanding of the story. And as a good example, if we see that in a particular month actually sales were down slightly versus what we were perhaps expecting to see, so versus our forecasts, it's really good to be able to understand that in as much detail as possible, what were the different factors that influenced that month that might have led to that decline. So one of the key ones which affects the cycling industry significantly is weather. If we had a month where actually we experienced quite high rainfall, then we can look back 6 months and actually see what was the weather like in that month, and did that have an effect on the sales of bikes during that month. You can look at other factors like the stock, for example. If we've got accurate stock and recordings in the data service, then we can see whether actually was it a supply issue. As well. And then also there are other data sources like, for example, the Department for Transport published stats on cycling usage. And so, wouldn't it be great if we were able to actually apply those kind of numbers alongside our sales figures to understand whether actually cycling usage spiked significantly. And as a result, we can see on that same trend graph that sales of bikes increased in the same month. And that's obviously a story which was quite prominent throughout the COVID pandemic, where we saw cycling usage go up significantly. Being able to put those all into one nice, easy to read report would be, an absolutely amazing place to be.
Nick, if I could come back to you, because we've spoken just a few moments ago with Jack Dennison, head of data at Sigma Sports, and asked him what he wanted to see from MDS going forward. And he said API compatibility, so that they could pull down data as and when they wanted it and use it in the way that they wanted to use it. Is that something that people might be able to look forward to? And equally, not everyone has the time and setup to do that. So are we going to make it easier for people to access data on, say, their phone or a tablet?
Yeah, correct. So building an API is high on the list of priorities. We want people to be able to do that. And that opens up a whole world of new stuff. Yes, Jack will be able to plug it into his existing data analysis suite, but also techies will be able to plug it in with other data sets, and we can do fun and exciting things with it. And then at the other end of the scale, you're right. What happens when you want to, you don't have a data sweep, you just want to quickly and easily see a report of what's going on your phone? I'm really keen to find solutions to that. And whether that's about emailing people tidbits or interesting insights from time to time, or providing a link for them to log in quickly from their phone, I think that they're all really good ways to do this. It's about finding what's most efficient for the people involved.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I think people can be quite excited about what is coming in MDS.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
And Tom, thank you for talking through the MDS product offering.
All right, nice one, Alec. Thanks very much.
So Simon, in the course of this podcast, we've heard from Tom about how market data service has been created, how it's being rolled out. We heard from Jack at Sigma Sports about how he's using it and how important it is to Sigma Sports and their ongoing strategy. And we heard from Nick Nettleton about some of the future developments and opportunities for market data service. Where do you see it going?
Well, I have to say, Alec, I am very excited about the future of market data. And working with Nick has really opened my eyes to the opportunities on how we can develop this. We've had a lot of feedback from our users over the last 18 months since we've been up and running. We know that there's opportunities in terms of visualization. We have a whole spectrum of different users as well, and some of them are very sophisticated and want to be able to get inside and drill, dice and slice the data in a much more flexible way than we currently offer. But equally, we have other users who just want it served up on a plate and made really super easy for them. So all of the work that we've been talking about doing with Nick will enable us to do that.
Simon, out of everything that's coming, is the one thing in particular that you think is really going to change the way that we view market data service?
The bit for me which really moves us on is the combining with different data sets. I think Tom talked about this, and the idea that we can tie in sales data and with weather and economic data and cycling usage stats just starts to really take it to another level. And we're really keen to explore partnerships and use this both to help our members make better business decisions, but also really to support our advocacy aims. And with this sort of resource, we've now got a fantastic tool with which we can work with government to, for example, measure the differing results of bikeability training around the country. We could support really good measurement of electric bike purchase incentive trials. And we've already got a project underway in Greater London, working in partnership with the London Cycling Campaign, valuing the economic contribution of cycling, which no one's ever really been able to do accurately before, and working out how many green jobs market data and the cycling industry can contribute to the economy. So it really just all of the changes that we have planned for the service really just open up a whole multitude of different ways that we can use it to add value to our to sort of everything that we do as an association.
Simon, thank you for joining us on the BA podcast. It sounds like the future of market data service and its impact on the cycling industry is incredibly exciting.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alec.
This episode has been a deep dive into data. We've looked behind the Bicycle Association's market data service, what it means to those who use it, and what you could all look forward to in the near future. As ever, if you'd like to find out more about this or any of the work that we do, then head over to our website at thebicycleassociation.org.uk. And of course, if any of this has piqued your interest and you'd like to find out more about joining the Bicycle Association, just click the Join tab on our website. In our next episode of the BA podcast, we'll be speaking about e-bikes. So make sure you click subscribe before you go. But from me, Alex Seaman, and everyone here at the BA, bye for now.